Kind brave souls as the veil between worlds grows, and darkness encroaches upon the light. Welcome, dear viewers, to a bone-chilling episode of the Bloody Shotz podcast. Tonight, we invite you to journey with us to a place where fear knows no bounds, a realm with a macabre and a grotesque converge. This week, we explore the terrifying depths of Suspiria and the beyond. A descent to the nightmarish world of Italian horror cinema. From giallo to the supernatural. From Dario Argento to Fulci. Our quest for the eerie and the unsettling begins here. You summon the courage to traverse the haunted alleys of Italian horror with us. I present to you the tale of Italian Horror Week.
Somebody there? Hello? What's that sound? Gloria, you hear that? Who is that? Or what is that? Oh shit, it's you! Get the hell out! No, shit, don't make me watch Star Wars! I need more Star Wars! Shit! No, please! Oh, this is hell! No! Don't do it! No! Don't make me watch Star Wars, please! Star Wars! Please! I've already seen all that shit! I'm done! Kill me! Kill me, please! I'd rather die than watch Star Wars! Gloria, protect me! Gloria! Gloria, attack! 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 Kill Saboba! Kill that bastard! Kill him! Kill him! Thank you for saving me, Gloria. Thank you, you're so... What do you have there? She should have let me be fucking killed. Okay.
Go! Welcome to Halloween week. Italian Horror Week.
Month week. This is Bloody Shotz 139, man. It's how, like you said, it's Halloween week 2, Italian Horror Week.
Cool.
Halloween month, I guess, but week 2. So, thanks for watching, guys, and please subscribe if you want to see more of these scary episodes. Whoa. I'm too frightened. Stop it. You're frightening me. I like that. So, Suspiria and the Beyond. I'm actually kind of surprised. 29% of our viewers have seen Suspiria.
Cool.
71 have not, and then
those 29 are culture.
There's something.
Watching foreign films.
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen this until we watched it. And then 33% have seen The Beyond, and 67 have not. So it's a little higher for that.
All right.
Okay. But yeah, so we said Italian Horror Week. I guess this kind of came about. I mean, we've always kind of been like, I think once we watched Night of the Living Dead, we kind of branched off into like trying to find other zombie films, and then it was like that was
quickly
kind of
went to Italy.
Right. It not instantly. It was very quick that because after Dawn of the Dead, we were looking for more stuff, obviously too, and it was like, okay, well then there's Zombie, which is Zombie 2 over there is Zombie here, so. And that kind of led into more like, wait a minute. Got a lot of Italian stuff here.
Yeah.
Do you remember like I think a lot of that stuff, I remember we kind of watched that stuff in like maybe high school or college or maybe?
Oh, yeah. Both. But both. I started with Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, whoa, there's a sequel to this.
Yeah.
Produced by Dario Argento. Who's that dude? Wait, there's a sequel to this?
Yeah, a sequel to like Dawn of the
Italy
Dead.
called Zombie? Who's Lucio Fulci? Well, I want to watch all his movies. These are insane. And that's kind of the natural journey.
Yeah.
the two big ones, I think, for me at least, are like who we're talking about today, Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci.
Two maestros.
Yeah, of the Macabre. So I guess we're going to talk about Suspiria first. You already have the IMDb page up, and that was my first notes. Was there? So,
all right.
This movie came out in '77, and this one was directed by Dario Argento, who also co-wrote the screenplay, and stars Jessica Harper as like in the main role of this as
Susie Bannion.
Yes, Bannion, as an American ballet student who transfers to a prestigious dance academy, but realizes after a series of brutal murders that the academy is a front for supernatural happenings. What was I going to say about this? Something. That was it. That was all I had to say, guys, is what I got off.
So this is your first time watching it?
This one, yeah.
Cool.
I kind of found out as as I was watching the Beyond that I was like, wait a minute, I think I have seen this before. But yeah, this one I didn't get that feeling, so I guess we just, back in the day.
You'd remember.
Yeah, we never watched it together at least.
I have a very interesting history with this movie.
You're like, I was on set.
It was my birthday party. Dario Argento.
He came in like, happy birthday, Mr. President. It's like, what?
In case you don't know, we're poning Harry Knowles. I first saw this like in college. When I was all about horror movies, trying to watch all the classics, and I think
that was peak time for us because we would watch anything, even if it was shit. Yeah.
I was super excited to watch Suspiria. I'd read a lot about it before I saw it, and the first time I watched it, I hated it.
Yeah,
because it was not what I was wanting from a horror movie at that time.
It was definitely not what you were expecting.
Like, I was into John Carpenter. I wanted, like, action and special effects, and there's some of that in this movie, but it's way more about like the tone and mood.
Yeah,
and creating like visual extravaganza.
Well, it's kind of like I think we were also like that with a lot of horror films that we rented. Like I remember specifically we rented Serpent in the Black Rainbow or whatever it was, or is that what it's called?
Serpent in the Rainbow.
Serpent in the Rainbow. And I think I was mixing up what the Beyond the Black Rainbow that. And that was definitely at the time I was not ready to try to watch. And I haven't gone back and seen it. I want to, but like it's one of those things that like I wasn't like I guess maybe I don't want to sound like pretentious, but I guess maybe I wasn't cultured enough, or I wasn't like open-minded enough. I was like you, like we were of the same mind where we were like, what the hell, dude? This is like nothing's happening. This is bullshit.
So I saw it again years later and liked it a lot more, and like I've seen it maybe 3-4 times, and like each time I love it more. I really love this movie. I think it's amazing. So cool. Total 180. I
don't think I love it, but I've only seen it this one time. So
it's a lot to
it's kind of, I think it's got the thing that a lot of Italian horror movies have, where it kind of has like a pretty slow build and like not a lot. I mean, stuff happens obviously, but like you don't get as much of a payoff until like the very end of the film. So I'd say like both these films, I guess, obviously you'll start with this one, has like a phenomenal soundtrack.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Goblin, great, and I think there was other stuff.
I knew you'd like the soundtrack. I wasn't sure if you'd love the movie, but
I actually have the soundtrack before this, so I've heard this music before I've seen the film. I own a couple of their CDs and stuff. Nice. So yeah, great music.
It's so like loud and like it's like assault of the senses.
Yeah.
But like the opening like 10 minutes of this movie is like totally amazing. It's like
I completely
visual feast.
I completely agree
an
with
audio
you on
feast.
That. There's a random like narration in this that doesn't like really come up again, which I thought was kind of interesting. I think maybe there's like stuff here, like I don't remember there being much, because at the beginning it's just like a narrator talks about like the main character and what like she's doing and stuff and why she's there and stuff, and it's like, okay, you know what I mean? It was very like interesting, and like you said with the music, when she lands and she's going through, I guess it's the airport or wherever it is, to like go to her like taxi to take her to like the place for the first time, the school, like all the speech and sound effects cut out and only the music goes in, and it does that a couple times, and it's very like cool.
Yeah,
interesting. They also do, it's very like stylistic at points with like automatic doors like being super focused on and stuff like that.
Yeah, like this is one of the best directed movies I've ever seen. Like, it's like so polished, and like every shot is like a work
I think
of art.
the cinematography is like definitely like on blast here.
Yeah, it's like super colorful, like primary colors and stuff, and the sets are like bizarre and like they're all like works of
really
art
red
within themselves.
Weird. It's like of that time color. It's like the same thing with like Dawn of the Dead. It's like that, like when the blood is like a pinkish red. It's like the same thing with some of the colors. It's just off. But I mean, not for that time, but maybe like now you look at it and you're like, these colors are kind of just not, you know, what you expect. Because when you expect reds, you expect a certain kind. But you know, there are that too. But like, there's like a building in this in the beginning that's very like a reddish pink, and it's very weird to see something like that.
Yeah, and even when they're driving through like the dark forest, it's like someone had to put a ton of lights out there.
Yeah,
like
you can't.
Every
just, like,
shot
walk
is like
into
full of like a ton of work.
I think that's probably like my favorite part of this entire film is where they're driving through the forest, and there's like a camera out in the forest, and as this car is going through, someone's having to like do lights and stuff to like do the stuff, and you can see like, it's just like, I don't know, like I'm a big fan of like kind of like Black Forest and stuff like that.
The fairy tale dark forest,
right? Not necessarily like fairy tale stuff in it, but like I like the idea of like, you know, it's just very scary and stuff like that. I just wish there was, I don't know too many movies that
I agree,
have that kind of stuff.
And also like the hardest rain imaginable is happening. Like how did they do that? It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's I was like
there's one or two shots where she's in the taxi where like Dario Argento is sitting, I think, next to her directing it, and you can see like a reflection of his face, and it's super creepy.
Oh wow, that's funny.
And probably intentional.
He's
but I'm
like,
not sure.
He's like, this is intentional that I fucked up. When they're like driving and stuff, there's like an emphasis on a ton of stuff. Like the amount of water is like ridiculous that they.
Oh yeah.
It's like they film the water that's like pouring down, but like they crank up like and put in more sound effects to make it like the sound of rushing water. It's like the most rushing water I've ever seen on screen. Not amount, but just like the sound. It's like the amount of sound coming out of that water doesn't equate. But.
I think Tony Scott saw this movie and had the idea for the fan. He was like, more water.
His sound effects for that were the sound effects for this were out of control for the amount of like water. So it was like,
that was great.
He's like, do you care now? And I'm like, eh. Lady runs out the front door, and you're like,
right at the front door.
Yeah. She's like, you guys are gonna make a supernatural menace, and I'm gonna run out the front door. I was like, so that's something that kind of comes into play in this film. This film is less like, I felt like this film was more of like a detective kind of movie almost, because it's like there's a mystery, kind of like almost like some of the earlier Harry Potter books and movies where it's like something's going on, but like it's behind closed doors, and you have to go through a bunch of different stuff to finally find out what it is. And when she tries to go to the academy at first, she's told to, you know, go away. And essentially she goes to like a hotel or something at night, and then goes there the next day, and they're like, who told you that? And she's like, I don't know. And it's like, it almost makes you think that person was maybe like somebody was trying to warn her, like, get the fuck out of here, don't come back or whatever. So
she goes to the weirdest looking hotel of all time.
Yeah.
It's like, did someone design this with like Legos? Like, it's so weird. But it's awesome. I love that stuff. Like, it's a building.
It kind of reminded me of something that they'd put in like a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah, for for sure.
It kind of reminds me of Carnival of Souls. It's very stylish in this film.
We were texting about it, but like this is an art movie.
Like every minute, like 1 second goes by, you're like, "Hey, Mike, guess what I'm looking at?" Yeah,
it's a true big time art movie, and I think maybe that's why I didn't like it the first time I saw it, because I wanted a fun, rousing, wildly entertaining, and it's not that it's not that, but it's just different. Like it's.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's like wildly entertaining, like as you're watching it, but like it's kind of something that you have to. It becomes entertaining after the fact.
Yeah,
it's like you're putting a puzzle together, and when it's finally complete, then you're like, oh, okay, now it's like I said, it's like a detective story. It's like like Poirot or something like that, or like a Columbo mystery. When it's finally all together, you're like, okay.
Yeah, and I talked about this, I think, when we watched Dick Tracy, but like the movie is so visually beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, my brain just turns off and I'm just like, whoa! Every shot is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So like that alone is enough for me to be on board.
I'm like,
I'm a basic bitch.
I'm like, I could just look at a colored wall and I'm fine. A colored wall. It's called paint. So have you ever... Oh, go ahead.
What'd you think of the opening murder?
We're like, she like lays back and gets her like hair washed in the salon essentially, and it goes down through the. Have you ever been to like a haircut place? That's what I thought of. Is like when they lean you back and wash your hair. Her hair goes like through a fucking like window. It's like she gets stabbed and she got like Rasputin.
Yeah, like super killed.
Yeah, they like stab her and then somebody and then like hangs her.
I'll never forget. Like they cut her open to expose her beating heart.
Yeah.
And then stab her heart. I'm like, dude, this is so extreme. Like, wow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's kind of one of Argento's signatures, is like extreme violence.
I think that's
women.
Like Italian just in general. Not necessarily against women for other Italian stuff, but like taken like to extreme for the murder. Right. Like a lot of movies, like these Italian movies too, have a lot of stuff to do with like eye play. Where it's like,
eye trauma.
And it's like
eye play.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I was gonna ask though, have you ever heard like the country song like Chattahoochee or like that?
Like way down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you caught this, but like you did. 10 minutes. It's like
I was thinking Footloose, like
yeah. I mean,
everybody
I think they're pretty similar.
Footloose. Yeah.
But it's like way down yonder, and I was like, okay, this is ruined.
Yeah.
Every time
I like that though. It's cool.
It's cool, but every time it came up, I was like, this is kind of ruined now.
Yeah.
But obviously, when this came out, like, I mean, that hadn't come. That's not going to come out for like 20 years. But it was. I was like, okay, he's out there like, woo.
He's like, I got friends.
As the person's like hanging.
Boot scooting, But I also love the touch. It happens a couple times in this movie where like you just see eyes in a window. Like that's super scary to me. I think it's very
I tried to recreate that for like videos we used to do back in the day because we watched like Amityville horror at one point, and it just never worked out because we didn't have like the know-how or the equipment to do it. So it was literally just like, we're gonna put a face in the window, but like it wasn't lit, so it was really just like you couldn't see shit. It was like, okay. But yeah, I agree. Blind man with a dog. That's he's walking his dog in this movie. He's a good dog.
Nice German Shepherd.
Yep. Thought this is kind of fucked up. This dude's ugly, right? Don't be afraid to say so. I'm like, Jesus.
Dude, call him out on it.
He can't fucking hear you, or he can't understand you. He doesn't speak English or whatever. And I'm like, so? It's fucked up. We got some red herring going on here. A bunch of money shakedown here because they're like, yeah, we can loan, you can have these for this amount of money and stuff like that. And it's just like, she's like, I'll just, I've got some. And they're like, okay, whatever. They're like, the girls are all trying to like shake down the new person for like extra money. I once read that names that begin with the letter S are snakes. I was like, what the fuck?
Over the top acting.
Yeah.
Check mark.
And then Frau Farbissina enters the movie.
Yep. Dude, I love the teachers at this school because they're witches and they are very mean and scary in this movie.
Witches exactly with a B.
It's a coven of witches.
Speaking of Dr. Evil and all that, you see how I've got on my shirt?
Dude!
There goes the bastard now!
Nice.
Creature from the Black Lagoon, the biggest bastard ever slither through the fucking Louisiana. I'm getting some... So, I don't know if you got this, but, like, there were parts where I kind of got some, like lesbian vibes, possibly, from it. I don't know what they call that in film, if it's just... I don't know. Yeah,
well, my thought was, I didn't really think about that, but I thought this movie is really cool because it's, like, almost all women, which is rare for any type of movie.
But I got, like, a vibe from it just because of the way that, like the Frau Farbissina lady was kind of, like, acting towards the other girls, and it was kind of putting off vibes where she was very, like, butch or whatever, and she was kind of maybe, like... Not that they ever showed it, but, like, that she kind of had something where she was, like, maybe being a little too into them for a teacher. So.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So we got the lady and boy.
Lady.
With sharp glass.
Dude, that's my favorite shot in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. Like, I don't even know how they did it because...
They're like, because we all know that boys and little ladies don't
boys
exist.
and ladies. Together in one frame? Whoa.
How'd they make that shit happen?
But basically, she's shining something.
Yeah. It looked like it was a piece of glass and it was, like, glinting or something, and I don't know.
It shines and, like, you see all this dust in the hallway, but I never noticed this until I watched the commentary. When it shines... The little kid gets a super creepy smile.
Oh, shit.
And then when it goes away, he stops smiling. So he's like, I know a secret. You're screwed. And it's once you see it, it's like...
He's holding up a sign. He's like, I know a secret.
It's very sinister. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. Best shot in the movie. Loved it.
Well, I should have not listened, but watched the commentary. That's awesome, though. I mean...
Oh, yeah. What a great touch.
I'm like... Great touch. I wish that I had, like, I guess this stuff on DVD because I don't know any of this stuff, like, physically.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and get the stuff. Go and get the stuff.
We're gonna watch it right now.
Yeah, go get a big bunch of dubes. Yeah,
There's an amazing Blu-ray in 4K by Synapse.
My only issue with steelbooks is, like, they're
heavy.
Well. They don't put any of the shit on the back. It's like artwork. And I'm like, that's fine, but it's also kind of like... I mean, I guess you kept the thing in here. But
it's an awesome special edition.
I gotta get out my readers here. So the special features, we've got some... Well, like I said, it's exclusive steelbook. I'm like, no shit, it's fucking what this was in.
Whoa.
2 audio commentaries by authors and Argento scholars. So that's pretty cool. A bunch of different features, like Susie in Nazi Germany featurette and the German locations from Suspiria. Bunch of cool stuff.
And they included the soundtrack on CD, which I always
love.
Nice.
That's cool. Who's it for? Oh, Synapse. Okay. That's somebody I don't think we talk about too much because, I mean, we try, I guess we bring it up whenever we can, but, like, for a while there, the only people that were doing this kind of stuff was, like, Shout Factory. And then now we've got, like, Vinegar Syndrome, Synapse. There's so many and I can't remember them all, but anyway, let's see here. Pushing Susie and she's like, time for a faint. Bro, blood blood starts coming out of her nose.
That is gross. Yeah,
she was like, they were pushing her to keep working or whatever, and then she just like is like, bow. So they like make her like drink while she's passed out to like make her wake up, I guess, maybe, or something. She was like, blah, blah.
What did you think of Jessica Harper in this movie?
Who did she play?
The main character. Susie Banyan.
Who's that?
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I didn't watch this film. Whoa. I thought she was pretty good. She's beautiful in my eyes. I do think she's pretty attractive.
Yeah, no doubt. I think she's awesome in this.
I think that, like, I'm not, like, I guess what I'm about to say is I'm not trying to, like...
Should we move on?
No, I'm not, I don't want to, like, rip on her or anything like that. This isn't ripping on her. It's just saying, like, the character that she's playing isn't, like, the, like, Kurt Russell kind of character where they're, like, have a bunch of lines and, like, act super, like, action-packed. It's, like, the character is played and is more, like... she's your, like, installation into, like, the film, like, your surrogate. So, like, she's very, like, taking it all in from the other characters. And it also doesn't help that, like, she's being drugged every night. So, like, her character, once she's, like, is starting to take more action and stuff, towards the end of the film is, like, totally different. But it's definitely, like, one of those characters that's, like, she's, like, your seeing eyes to the film and stuff. For sure. And I don't want that to come across like she doesn't have anything to do. But that's not true at all. It's just she's along for the ride and definitely, like, acts when she can and needs to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of that, a glass of red wine with each meal. It bulbs the blood. I was like, so we got, like, this Professor Vertigast or whatever. He's like this, like, Nazi. Well, he's not, but he's like this guy that would be in, like, what was that one movie we watched? Both of them, and then the second one there was, like, that Balak from Indiana Jones, essentially, or not Balak.
Strike Commando.
Yeah, Strike Commando 2. It was, like, essentially like that character. But he comes in and he's like, you know, you have to drink red wine with each meal because, like, they're essentially saying that, like, she passed out because she wasn't, I guess, working enough or something at one point. Is that true? So what'd you think about the worms?
Always a good maggot scene. Yeah, it was very effective. Like, it grossed me out.
It's funny because it was one of those things, like, in the terms of the film, like, that was kind of a red herring too, because I don't think that didn't seem to really have anything to do with, like, overall what was going on in the film, which was kind of cool because it wasn't, like, a clue, like, oh, this is what's going on. It was essentially, like, they put, like, food upstairs and the food they had gotten was spoiled and, like, essentially, like, every maggot in the entire world was up in the attic.
Just adds to, like, the creepy atmosphere.
Right, exactly.
Like, oh, and it's filled with maggots that are going to get in your hair.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
I was just like, how long was that up there for those maggots? Because it's literally, like, a swimming pool full. They had, like, frickin' this lady snoring or whatever. Yeah.
The practice hall sleepover night. That's a really cool scene. It's very creepy, actually, because, like, they're surrounded by curtains, and you see the silhouettes of, like, the witches sleeping behind them, and, like, the head witch is snoring.
The snoring commentary about the directress. I was just like...
That was very memorable.
Yeah.
That was a really cool scene.
They should do, like, a podcast about snoring, just the two of them. Snorecast.
There should be a Suspiria-themed hotel where you can go stay in a place, like, that looks like that.
And have some annoying motherfucker snore next to you the whole night.
I'd try it.
She's like, Wee! I'm like, cool.
There's also another shot that I never noticed before until this time. Like, it's through curtains, so, like, curtains are open, and you see the scene. So, like, dude, someone's watching. Like, that's so cool. Just little touches like that I think this movie rewards repeat viewing.
You're like, someone's watching me. What'd you think about the little lad that likes berries and cream?
little Lord Fauntleroy.
He's like, I'm a little lad that likes berries and cream. He gets growled at by the dog. The sliding in this movie is awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
49 minutes and 50 seconds more Chattahoochee. They do, like, a German slap dance. It's like something that they do at Oktoberfest. Like, large square dog going nuts with blind man. So a large dog in the square is what I meant to say.
Yeah, the plaza attack scene.
Plaza attack style.
Like this, there's just, like, scene after scene that's, like, iconic.
Yeah.
Because this is so awesome because you see, like, silhouettes on the buildings
Right.
of witches flying around. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, how'd they do that?
I thought, like, just in general, like, not even anything to do with, like, the dog or the witches. Like, can you imagine being blind and then being like, there's somebody's there because your dog's going nuts, but, like,
yeah, terrifying.
the person doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you're fucked. Like,
and then you get killed by your own
dog puppet kills master.
This should be Dog Puppet Week instead of Italian Horror Week.
I was going to talk about that later, but I guess we can talk about it now. What are the fucking odds that 2 Italian horror movies have not only blind characters in them, but blind characters that have seeing eye dogs that end up turning and killing their own fucking masters?
Both German Shepherds biting them.
I'm like, this makes no fucking sense. 0 fucking 0.95. There was a part where the person says, secret or iris? I don't know what that means. And I was like, you don't know what the fucking word iris or fucking secret means? You need a fucking dictionary.
But going back to that plaza scene,
Yeah.
I think John Carpenter said he was inspired by that, and he kind of put a similar scene in They Live. Or not They Live, Prince of Darkness.
Oh,
where the
okay.
dude's like
Yeah.
standing out in the kind of courtyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff. What'd you think of the room filled with razors? You telling me there's a whole room filled with razors?
I was like, I'm good.
Their razor sharp teeth are sharp as razors.
I was like, what the fuck?
But I mean, you're
jumped
never
into
going
a
to
room
forget that, right?
with wire that's supposed to be barbed wire. I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck? She like jumps in there and is like, oh. And then the person like is just like, I was like, okay.
That's quite an elaborate plan to just cut someone's throat.
Yeah, they're like, fucking, the person's in there like, help. Oh shit, fuck, oh no, this is hurting. Oh, it sucks. And the person's just like, grabs their head and just cuts their throat.
You're done.
I'm like, okay. So Susie is clearly being drugged, like they kind of show it like at an hour and 43 seconds. She's being drugged each night with red wine.
Why'd you do it? Why? That was funny.
Yeah. It was hilarious. Because this is what came to me when I was thinking.
That's
when I
your
was
best
watching
note
it.
in months.
Red wine. One of the worst songs ever. So we got to the part where like the girl insists that like she must run away. She's like, we gotta get the fuck out of here and stuff. This is when she's trying to be like, but she's like, Susie's been drugged, so she's like can't stay awake. And that's when her friend gets essentially destroyed.
Yeah. Then you have the scene where she leaves to go visit Dr. Frank Mandel.
Yeah.
To like basically he explains like exposition dump time.
Right.
But that was played by Udo Kier from End of Days.
Nice.
Remember he's the dude that got cuckolded by the devil? The devil like
Oh, that's right. He has sex with like both his like daughter and his wife.
Yeah.
I was like, eh.
But I was like, hell
Nice.
yeah. Udo.
Good old Udo. Odo's brother. This part, I was like, when she's trying to escape, she's trying to unlock a door from the outside for like a year, and I was like, dude, you could have been to the next country by the time you got that door unlocked. Because she was like, when she, like we were talking about, when she gets her like throat slit, it's like blood curdling. Like it's one of those definitely like only in an Italian movie kind of sound effect kind of stuff.
And they definitely took like a pig and cut it open to like that was like real meat.
The pig's like, he's like, thumbs down, would not recommend. But what does it mean to be a witch? When the guy said that. Yeah, I thought that was the part where he starts talking about like the witch stuff. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then like he says this or whatever. He's like, you know, which means that magic is everywhere and all over the world. And it's a recognized fact always. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm gonna start saying that.
I was like,
it's a recognized fact always.
Yeah, I was like, right. Dr. Evil style. I was like, I'm pretty sure that if like a professor was like, magic is a recognized fact that exists, I was like, this guy needs to get his fucking doctorate taken away. Like, by the way, come over here, I gotta tell you something. Do you know that magic exists? Always.
Reminds me, we had a joke at work where a guy like went on a rant during a meeting, and he's like, I forget exactly what he said, but he's like, we're not gonna do that, simple fact. And so we started saying simple fact all the time, like, hey, I'll be right back, simple fact.
It's a recognized fact, always. It's like, okay. So she pours the Klingon blood wine down the drain.
Yeah.
No more getting, I guess, drugged each night. Then we got a bat attacking.
Straight out of Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah. Or a Laurel and Hardy film.
Yeah. Bat month.
Yeah, man. Bats are just attacking left and right. You better watch your ass.
Made me wish I still had that bat we had when we were little kids.
Oh, Jesus.
It would like flap up and down.
It's like... It's like, what?
I want to listen to this for hours.
So, once again, we got a bat under a sheet and it gets fucking crushed.
Yep.
We got a crushed bat, mini-me. Fucking Bat, Zero. Heroes and heroines of the horror films, too.
Yep.
So, this is when it kind of, like, is ramping up because she's, like, lucid and she's actually gonna start investigating, like, okay, what's going on here? Because she's been around with, like, this other lady, but, like, she wasn't able to participate or help at all because she's been essentially every night at a certain time, she pretty much after dinner is just, like, out. And she's being watched at all times. We've got a chase here that was pretty, like, out of control where she's kind of like going down into like the bowels and stuff like that. I guess it's more of like a sneaking kind of thing. And the cooks like are laughing while they're butchering the meat.
The raw pink.
The raw pink meat to the tune of the Chattahoochee. And this is when you kind of get to the part of the film where she's doing like the puzzles and stuff. Yep. She goes into like a room leading to a dead end and like figures out like this puzzle and like then like goes through this hallway and like eventually finds them like
the meaning of Iris.
Yeah. She kind of like finds them all conspiring.
Dude, I love that Witches like the inner sanctum or their lair. It was really creepy.
Kind of remind me of like Witches the movie where like that they kind of go in there and they're like, okay, let's take all our stuff off and like they're like hideous, except for like in here they're not hideous. They're essentially like Dr. Eviling, where they're like, our true plan is this or whatever. Where they're like, we got to get rid of that bitch. Like, we're gonna kill her or whatever. And it's like,
but I thought the head witch was like super scary. Like that was awesome.
Like the super old lady. Yeah.
And the way that she dispatches her, like she realizes she's invisible.
Yeah, because that thing is like that's completely separate because she's in a different spot. Like when she goes down there and is watching them kind of discuss their plans, it's like the witches like that are underneath the head witch and stuff, and she's like they're drinking and eating some shit, and it's just like talking about all kinds of like and she's like coughing and she's like, please give me power and stuff like that, and it's just like, dude, this is fucked up. And then that's when she like turns and kind of finds the corpse of her friend, and it's like, Jesus. She's like the one that got like all like butchered up and stuff and the wire ripped up.
It's not a corpse, it's a zombie.
Well, yeah, true.
Dude, I don't know how they did that
effect. At that moment it was a corpse.
Yeah.
But then like,
how did they do the pin in her eyes effect? Did you notice that?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering
that was
the same thing.
Super effective.
Knowing Italian horror, they probably just put it in her eyes. They're like, you're blind, right? We're just gonna put
I've never seen that in a movie before.
So speaking of which, since we're talking about this old hag, Helena Marcos, the lead witch, she's aroused from her snoring slumber. Who is it? Who's there? I've been expecting you. The American girl, I knew you'd come. You want to kill me? You want to kill Helena Marcos? And then she starts, like, laughing. You want to kill me? You want to kill me? What are you going to do now, huh? Because she's, like, invisible at this point. Mm-hmm. You want to kill me? Hell is behind that door. You're going to meet death now. The living dead. And that's when her, like, friend comes in that's, like, a zombie. And, like you were saying earlier, I think it was really cool because it's, like, a lot of times in these films there's, like, huge leaps of, like, how the fuck would anybody ever figure that out? Mm-hmm. But in this, it's, like, there's a storm happening and, like, when the flash from, like, the storm outside, you can see the outline of her, like, thing, like, Predator style, and you're like, okay, she's right there, and that's when she, like, stabs the old crone. With that, the bitchcraft is over. But yeah, she gets, it's horrifying because she's, like, invisible and stuff, and when she gets, like, stabbed, she turns visible, and she's, like, older than hell.
Yeah. The ultimate witch.
Yeah. The ultimate witch. She's like... Bleh. But yeah, she's essentially, like, really old and, like, you know, has all these people under her, like, worshiping her and stuff. This coven. And, yeah, at the end, the house just kind of fucking blows up.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
She just runs out and
she escapes the house.
She's, like, runs out and she's like... And it just says, you have been watching Suspiria. And I said, that's true.
You're like, whoa, really?
I was like, holy shit, this is Suspiria night for real. Awesome in-credits synth music.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, I was kind of like, I guess I wasn't too shocked, but going through the movie, and then when it finally ends, it's like from killing her to, like, getting out the front door, it's like 1 second. That fucking house
I'm all for
is,
that,
like,
dude.
Blowing the fuck up.
That time between killing the main bad guy and credits needs to be small as possible.
Not all the time. But I think in this film, it definitely works.
Yep. So for me, this is a total 9.95. I think this is one of my favorite horror movies. I love it. It's amazing.
Nice.
Notice new stuff every time I watch it. So it's one of those.
Nice. Hell yeah, dude.
How about you?
I'm not as high on it as you are, but this is also my first watching. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was kind of like a lot of lead up to like the end came.
The real horror part of this movie happens just right at the very end.
Yeah,
it's like goes from 0 to 100 very quick.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's kind of how at least a lot of Italian horror that we've seen, at least from what I can remember that I've seen, it kind of happens where a lot of it's kind of like a little slower, some of the stuff, mm-hmm. which is nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I probably do like a 7.95. Maybe if I watch it, like if I watch it again or when I watch it again or whatever, maybe I'll like it again or like it. I'll like it again. I'll like it more. Mm-hmm. But definitely like, watching it the first time, it wasn't like I didn't hate it though. It wasn't like I don't think the first time you saw where you were like, no. It was like I was just yeah.
Cool.
But I had been watching.
Let's move.
And talking about Suspiria. Let's move beyond Suspiria and into The Beyond. So The Beyond is from 1981, an Italian southern gothic supernatural horror film. This time it's directed by Lucio Fulci. And okay, cool. The freaking thing just crapped the bed. Starring Catriona McCall and David Warbeck. Its plot follows a woman who inherits a hotel in rural Louisiana and was once the site of a horrific murder, and which may be a gateway to hell.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. It's the second film in Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy after City of the Living Dead, and was followed by The House by the Cemetery.
I think that's the one where everyone like pukes up their own guts.
I think specifically I remember in that one it's like a priest like it becomes perverted, not like perverted like sexually, but he becomes perverted like against God, and because of that he has these powers where he looks at a person and the person is like so horrified, I guess they throw up their guts. And that fucked me up for a long time after I saw that, because I was just like, what the fuck is happening, if that's possible. So I don't know if the one that I watched, it was like Grindhouse Releasing. Is that in every copy, I guess?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Was it in yours where it said Grindhouse Releasing?
Let me check. I don't remember. Because this movie also has an amazing special edition.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Grindhouse Releasing.
Okay. Yeah, because it was like I was watching it and it they'd started the film doing that, and I was like, wait a minute, did I fuck something? Did I download the wrong thing? Yeah, so this one has a provocative commentary. I like that this actually has commentary by the stars, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess we didn't really. I guess was there anything out of here that you saw from Suspiria that you really can talk about that you think was good?
Just insights into the movie, pointing. Learned a lot of stuff that I didn't notice.
Right.
So,
anything from the commentary?
That David Warbeck is quite a character.
Really?
Yeah.
It says genre superstar David Warbeck, so they think highly of.
Yeah, he passed away in 1997, so he died pretty young. But he's definitely a character and funny storyteller and stuff.
Nice.
He's got lots of very interesting stories, so that's what I remember from that.
I like how on the front of this it says, due to its shocking and violent subject matter, no one under 17 should view this film.
It shocked you.
Yeah, it did. I was like, oh. So, Louisiana, 1927. I was like, Big Apple, 3 a.m.
It was so weird because that same day, I was listening to a Randy Newman album, and then there's a song called Louisiana 1927. What are the odds?
I thought you were going to say, I was listening to a Randy Newman album in 1927.
I was.
What?
That's insane.
What, you mean the day you watched it?
The day I watched this movie.
Like recently?
Yeah,
okay.
Last week.
I thought you meant like originally. But either way, that's pretty fucked up.
That's insane.
What happened? Magic?
Yeah. A doorway to hell.
You're going to have diarrhea. Or will you? Only the shadow knows what lurks in the hearts of
weird.
Men. Yeah, that is kind of weird. Was it on the radio?
No, it's on my playlist.
Huh. You're like, no, after I saw the intro where it said Louisiana 1927, I popped in the Randy Newman album and
that I knew had that song.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wait a minute.
What, I'm tricking myself?
You're like, what are the coincidences that I did this on purpose? I'm like, eh. So we got a dude painting like a landscape intro in sepia. So this is kind of like supposed to be like, obviously like a while back when this happened. Well, obviously 1927, but it's this artist guy that's like painting this.
Yeah, and the intro is totally like unnecessary to the story of the movie. It's just an excuse for one more murder, basically.
Yeah, I remember when I watched this, because I remember I had seen this before, but I didn't realize it until I started watching this again. Which is why I was kind of surprised I'd never seen Suspiria. But like when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this is kind of like unnecessary. Because...
I mean, I think the whole movie is unnecessary. Like, it's just an excuse for one crazy thing to happen after another that has nothing to do with the plot, really, other than, hellish things are happening.
I mean, I think that kind of happens in a lot of these movies.
Well, especially Fulci. Like, he's like an insane madman.
Yeah, but like a lot of the Italian horror films that I've seen where it's kind of like that, where it's essentially like a haunted house where people are getting offed left and right in ridiculous ways.
And that's not a criticism from my end of this movie, because like there's nothing like it. I just think it's very weird.
Yeah, I think it almost feels like this was filmed after the fact or something. I mean, that could be incorrect, but like you said, it's definitely something that's not needed for the plot. I mean, I guess like, because they don't even bring up a thing where they say that like this, from what I remember, them being like this guy was a prophet or anything. Like he was, I guess, because he painted this or he saw it. But like, I feel like the plot tied together is like the last thing they care about in these films.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, a mob comes in with torches and boats into the bayou.
I was like, they took the torches in the house that was lit. Like, be careful with those, dude. Why not?
Well, they're like,
usually the torches are for like when they're out at night. But I was like, okay.
It'd be one thing if this was like old times where there was
down.
only candles, but like they had like freaking lights already up, and they're in there with like fucking like.
That was the weirdest thing that happened in this movie.
Yeah, Ibon keeps being brought up. The prophecies of Ibon. The ungodly warlock gets beaten with chains. They're like taking pieces of flesh off of him.
The raw pink apple pie.
He's like, you weren't responsible for the last burned apple pie in Sacramento, brother. When the warlock, who was ungodly, was down there screaming for his last. 7 crazy places, entrances to ungodly places, 7 gateways to hell. I was like, where are the movies about the 6 other places?
Yeah, the Beyond 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. Whoa! Dude nailed to the wall literally when they throw like white acid on him. I was like,
there's so much acid play in this movie.
Or what was that? It's like, I was like, good lord. They're like, so they like crucify him to a wall essentially, like Jesus over here. Then they throw like fucking acid on him, and like, it's like before that they were like hitting him with chains and it was like ripping him apart, and they, like
it's like Hellraiser going on here.
Yeah, I was like, whatever this guy did, like I don't know if he fucking deserves this, because they're whipping the shit out of this guy, and they fucking like essentially like bury him in a fucking wall and just like whooping his ass, and I'm like, okay.
Lucia Fulci loves that extreme violence.
Yeah, it's like gang
pure
destruction. I was like, good God. A fucking handicap match over here. So, these kills are out of control. We're definitely going to be talking about them. But this is one of the ones in the film that I thought was pretty funny. At the very beginning here, at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, we're not even at the 10-minute mark. This dude, they're surveying outside. There's a dude two dudes on the scaffold. One of the guys sees like a fucking ghost and jumps like in a 15-degree direction. So instead of like jumping back like you normally would, he jumps this way and fucking lands on his fucking head and is like pretty much done. And I'm like, what?
That was hilarious.
I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, well. He's like pretty much fucked. The doctor gets there and all he says, we need to get this man to a hospital. No shit. He's like bleeding from his mouth. The guy was like, wabba.
Yeah. Funny stuff.
Yeah. So then we got Super Mario showing up here. He's going to fix the basement. There's like water coming in and everything.
He beat the Scapelli brothers that time.
Yeah. He says, the whole basement is flooded, and they're like, the guy's like, I hope it isn't too serious. And I'm like, if you got like a fucking basement and it's flooded, like, I think it's beyond serious. Like, I'm like, you're fucked. Not only that, but like, it almost looked like this was supposed to be like a turtle sewer down here, because it was like there were parts you could walk on and there was water going through the middle. I was like, this is like an Indiana Jones crypt down here, and it's not a basement.
That's also a gateway to hell.
Yeah, I also like how like the first thing that the certified plumber guy does, or the handyman, is there's water coming out of the wall. So instead of like stopping it up, he actually makes it wider. And
starts smashing walls.
Yeah, he starts ripping
like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's like, let's make this hole wider and let this water really come out. So we got Arthur being a pervert looking for the keys, but he's going through like the ladies' like underwear. This guy kind of just like disappears from the film and then shows up later.
Shows up to get horrible.
Right.
Doesn't he get melted in acid too? They should just call this movie Acid, the movie.
That would have been funny. This movie has like a bunch of different titles, because of course it does. It's like an Italian horror film. Hands reach out of hole in wall and plucks eyes from Joe the plumber.
He like scoops it out of there like a grape.
He's like, boop, boop. Not only that, but like after this guy comes back, they just put like clay on his face,
yeah.
And he's like,
I find that actually very creepy.
It is, but it's kind of like,
he almost looks like a dinosaur or something like that. But it works somehow.
He's
it's like
so
weird.
He's like, I'll take a mammal pizza, hold the anchovies. So we got a lady and dog on a long highway bridge.
I love that, dude. That is so
that was
cool.
really
That's
weird.
An iconic image.
Yeah, because I was like, I wonder how they were able to, like, I guess they probably just got them to shut down the highway for a little bit, because essentially from miles, because, like, I don't know if anybody watching this has ever been out to, like, the ocean, but there are parts out, like, you know, around there where you have to take long, like, they have them over there, over the water, like, long highways and stuff like that, where they just go over that to go from one kind of, like in North Carolina, they'll have something where you go from this to, like, an island out there. That's, like, a big thing. But it's, like, essentially for miles, you don't see anybody, as far as, like, in this film, which is ridiculous to see, like, a highway over water with, like, someone on it, and it's only, like, the person in the car, the lady with the dog, and it's, like, how did they get there, and... You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas all the other cars.
Stuff like this makes me love Lucio Fulci. Like, I think he's a super talented filmmaker. And when you see one of his, like, his movies are instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the coolest thing in the movie.
Yeah, her eyes also are, like, a really great effect. The blind effect in this is really interesting, because it's not, like, just, like, wide eyes. It's, like, they have, like, a contact they put over their eyes
disgusting.
For this, where it's, like, the middle is, like, yellow and cracked, essentially.
It's really gross.
Yeah. Need some Visine.
Then something happened in this movie I was never expecting. Did you catch? There's a reference to the Cincinnati Bengals in this movie.
All the people being put acid on them?
So when the doctor's, like, walking out of his the office or whatever, you see these two guys walk by, and if you turn up the volume, you can hear their dialogue. And they're like, I got Saints tickets this weekend. Ah, who are they playing? The Bengals. Oh, the Bengals.
The Bengals!
I was like, dude, no way.
Fucking random ADR.
But they sound like, I don't know what accents they were doing, but they were like, the Bengals. You'll have to go back.
Do you know what part that is? Or, like,
it's
what
when he's leaving his office right after this bridge scene.
No timestamp, guys.
Timestamp or it didn't happen.
Yeah, seriously.
The Bengals. The Bengals.
You actually, your copy, you just, like, dubbed it.
I dubbed Bengals references into
movies.
You guys hear that? Odds, dude?
That is pretty, yeah.
So then I looked it up, because this movie came out in 1981, and I was like, did the Saints play the Bengals that year? Turns out they did, and they won 17-7.
Who, the Bengals?
No, the Saints did. But that's the year the Bengals went to their first Super Bowl.
Nice.
So...
Well, you know.
Only on Buddy Shots are you going to get this kind of info.
That's pretty fucking weird, dude.
I know.
So it's weird because it's not... Like, see, are you thinking that was actually ADR dialogue?
Oh, yeah.
So...
So in all Italian movies of this era, they did not shoot with sound. Everything was dubbed. That's just what they did.
The question is... Why the fuck would they have put that in there?
I know, that's insane.
Because my thing is, like, that doesn't have anything to do with the movie, which doesn't matter because it's background dialogue. But the funny thing is, that must have just been, like, somebody that was working on the film that just was, like, a fan of either the Saints or the Bengals. Probably the Saints.
Well, this takes place in New Orleans.
So, yeah. Right. But, I mean, yeah, I just think that's weird.
It's super weird.
It's probably weirder than anything we're going to talk about on this podcast, honestly, tonight.
I know.
You just fucking blew.
Your mind has been blown.
I've been blown. I was like, what the fuck? People were fans of the Bengals?
The Bengals.
The Bengals. Not only that, but I guess the person didn't know who the Bengals really were the way they say it.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Then Pippi Longstocking enters this movie. What did you think of her?
I don't have to find my notes on that.
The redheaded girl with the pigtails?
I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird because she almost seemed like she was young, but also too old.
I know. It's very weird.
It was like she was...
I'm like, is this person 10 or like 30?
Yeah. She was like a girl out of time.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird because I think she was supposed to be like a really young daughter to like...
Yeah.
It was like Joe and his wife's daughter, but like... Because they show up in like... essentially, like, he's been taken to the morgue, and, like, they're, like, going to identify the body, and the mom goes in, and then, like, she goes in, and, like, just watches her mom lay there while acid goes on her face for no reason. She, like, doesn't ever get up, and I'm like, what?
That scene has, like, a very nightmarish quality. Like, maybe this whole movie kind of feels like a nightmare, but it makes no sense that would happen, but it was also weird and cool.
I think that's just a lot of these Italian horror films where it's essentially they're like, we just want to have something like, they come up with the ideas for the gross shit first, and then they slot it into, like, maybe how it would kind of make sense. But, like, yeah, she essentially, you hear, like, a scream, I think, and the daughter goes in, and, like, she's just laying on the fucking ground, and, like, acid is pouring onto her face as, like, a zombie, or, like, and the blood is, like, going everywhere. And then, like, it's like, okay, so she literally just laid there and fell asleep while the fucking shit, like, took her face away.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, when they first, like, the lady first gets in there for her husband, he has no eyes and is puking up his guts and, like, blood. And she's really only startled, or no, this was, like, the maid. She's only startled when a body floats to the surface. I was like, what?
Yeah.
She's like, now this is fucked up. Also, this dialogue was definitely weird. Gonna try to find out what that dead guy had for breakfast. And he's been dead for fucking 6 years. I was like, huh?
I didn't think about that.
That makes sense. Also, this guy should not be fucking working here because he hooks a fucking dead guy up to a heart monitor. I was like, is this, like, fucking happening right now? Because he also hooks him up to, like, a brain thing, and then, like, when he leaves, then it turns on, and I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, the girl runs from red foam, and then it, like, freeze frames when she's like, ah! At, like, 31 minutes, and I was like, well, Matt was directing this one. He couldn't even wait to the end.
More freeze frames, better.
Yeah.
Bring them on.
Just watch a slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daughter is possessed. They're at the funeral, and then she, like, turns to the camera, and she's just like, so the water in the basement's going nuts. The dead, crucified body, it is gross.
It is.
It's like they whooped this guy's ass, and then he turned into, like, a fucking Tootsie Roll. It was...
Tootsie Roll.
He's like, Tootsie Roll. So, like, the book disappears because, you know, they found this, like, the prophecy book, but then it, like, disappears. It's like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. Got an old man laughing to himself in the library when this guy goes to look for the blueprints. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah. So, I know we're talking about a lot of references here, but this is the first thing I thought of when this guy goes to find these blueprints to the hotel. And he's instantly shocked off the ladder and dies.
Yeah.
This reminded me of that QVC thing where the guy's on the ladder and he, like, falls back and the lady's like, and that has never happened.
Nice.
Because it was fucking instant, though. Like, as soon as he's, like, shocked by what he sees, he's like, wait a minute. And then he's like, bzz. It was like the kid that touches the fence in Jurassic Park where they turn it back on. He's like, boom. But then they got some tarantulas biting his face.
Dude,
some shock
that's
play.
Quite something.
Yeah.
I was just so impressed that they managed to film, like, a spider biting a guy's tongue inside his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Well, a lot of this was also, like, fake as fuck as far as, like, the puppetry they have going on.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It doesn't look real by any means, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
It was totally unnecessary again, but that's what makes this movie great. Like,
I think that, like, I think that's pretty much what this movie is. It's just weird stuff happens.
It's like a nightmare. being covered in tarantulas and like biting you. Because like tarantulas they're like friendly creatures.
Yeah.
This would never happen.
Well, I think the thing is like, when this movie came out, I don't think it was widespread knowledge that how tarantulas actually act. So like now when I see it, I'm like,
but they're possessed tarantulas.
So
it does make sense.
Well, I don't know. How do you know they're possessed? Maybe they're just bastards. They're like in a little like tarantula gang. They're like
They're getting back at the filmmakers for all their fellow animals who've been killed over the years in these movies.
They're like the day I was born. They have like little like vests on. Like. No, I thought this scene, when I saw it the first time, I was like, oh shit, like holy fuck, how are they, this is ridiculous. Now it's like I've kind of come like 180 on spiders. I used to be horrified by them, but like especially tarantulas, I think they're kind of like cute. So like when I see them doing that, it's like, oh man, look at these, But then I agree with you though. It's like a holy shit, like I can't believe, because they're like, they bite his face and they bite his tongue, and they're essentially like, they put in sound effects, which I don't think I don't think they make sound effects, but they're like me. And I'm like, what? But like he's being eaten alive, and he's like, yeah. It's like,
have you ever held a tarantula?
No, I have not.
I'd like to, because like I also have I think a normal fear of spiders, and I think if I held one, that would help me get over it.
He's like,
so,
I've held like
it's my bucket list.
Anaconda before.
Really?
Yeah, like a huge one. We were down in Florida or whatever. I'm like, we just went off the side of the road, and I was like, hey. But it was like at a zoo or whatever, and
you mean you weren't just out in the Everglades?
No, I went out there and a skunk ape killed me. I'm a ghost now. But like the handler put it on like people's shoulders, and they put it on mine. As like as a kid, I was like, this is heavy as fuck, and I'm sure as an adult I'd feel the same thing because they're one huge muscle. I'm like, welcome to the gun show. And then after that, the blueprint disappears. So there is definitely some magic hocus pocus going on in this film. Because the book appears in another place after some B&E. So we got a dirty, stopped up bathtub, Resident Evil 1 style. The lady pulls the plug, and we got for some reason, Joe was fucking in, like, wasn't he in the bathtub? No, yeah, it was like, okay.
Joe the plumber.
Yeah, and he's back and on the attack. He pushes, like, this is a thing you see a lot too, is pushing of heads in Italian horror movies. And not only that, but the person that gets their head pushed is like, as soon as their head is grabbed, they're fucked. Like, it's like they're defenseless, like it goes magnet instantly, like Magna, like they can't removed because like the person is being, and not only that, but of course they do the thing where like, what's worse than being like stabbed by like the sharp end of a nail, the blunt end. Whoa. And I'm like, but like he just pushes her head onto the blunt end of a nail, and that's it for her.
R.I.P.
Yeah. And of course we've got a thing with the Italian horror and eyeballs.
Gotta have more eye trauma.
Yeah. And of course we talked about it earlier, but we got a part here where like the blind lady has her dog attack this thing. She doesn't know what it is, but she does eventually because she's got a connection to the other side. She's like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Get him, Dickie. She named her dog that for some reason.
Dickie attack.
Dickie. And the dog is attacking, and she says, "Who are you?" Who. And then the dog, like, essentially takes the zombie to fucking hell. He, like, wins, which I was pleasantly surprised because you never know how this is going to go in a fucking, especially, like, in a, Italian horror. Are they going to have, like, I mean, they weren't going to kill the fucking dog, but are they going to have the dog lose this fight, and it's going to be fucking horrible? Yeah.
I appreciated that there were zombies in this movie because, like, Lucio Fulci's Zombie, I think, is his masterpiece. I think some people would argue that this one is too. But, like, I love how he's like, if you thought Romero's zombies were slow, my zombies are going to be barely able to move.
Yeah! Because they're essentially, they're like fucking maggot farms.
Yeah.
But I agree. Like, I think Zombie is as well, which I'm sure we'll have to talk about that at some point. Mm-hmm. It's been too long since I've seen it. But like,
before that scene, there's a really cool part where they're leaving the house at night, and you see like the silhouettes of all these ghosts or zombies in the house, and it's really cool looking. But then it made me think of Home Alone, where he has like Michael Jordan. That's kind of what it looked like.
What's the song that they play there? It's like, it's not like, it's like rocking around the Christmas tree. Yeah.
All the zombies were in the house partying.
Yeah, they're like, Kevin McAllister's like this, and like the zombies are like, think of acids like. But like,
well, it's just like little things like that.
Yeah,
think of the amount of work and like preparation that went into making that one shot.
Because that doesn't happen.
It's just
by
a
accident.
shot of a house,
right?
I appreciate stuff like
that. But it's like
cool.
Suspiria, like you were saying, where it's like small things that like on repeat viewings or like something you're like, holy shit, what the fuck? I didn't notice that. And you didn't even have to do it, but it adds that extra bit that raises it. So we talked about this earlier, but yeah, the odds that two separate Italian horror films where they have a blind person with a dog turns and kills them.
Crazy.
Should just be a staple. Dog turn wig. So we talked about it earlier, but Arthur's back. He comes out of the water just to be fucking killed. Yep. This person says, "I found a book that you left me to read." I said, okay. That was definitely a line that happened in the film. It was some interesting dub dialogue where I was like, what? They're like, you left me this program from the Saints in Bengals.
The Bengals.
The Bengals. So this guy doesn't believe her, but he's in this house. He's like, I don't believe you, you know, whatever you're seeing, it's not real and stuff. And he's like, but this house is one of the 7 gateways to hell. And I'm like, what?
There you have it.
Makes no sense. So this dude is like, the doctor with the gun is an interesting part of the film here at the end because...
Is that the dude that looks like Chuck Norris?
It's the other main guy.
Oh, the main... Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Who's the... Because my last note is the dude that looks like Chuck Norris got a bunch of glass in his face, and it was awesome.
Oh, the guy that randomly comes out of nowhere again. Yeah, he like shoots a window instead of the bad guys, and it shatters the panes of glass instead of the fucking window, like the thing itself, and all of them somehow shoot across the fucking thing and go into his friend's head, and it kills him.
That was awesome.
I was like, well,
I'm like, bravo.
yeah. I was like, stand up, Dad, take a bow. But yeah, this guy's like a crack shot until the plot calls for him not to be. This was definitely, I think it doesn't affect it for me, but I think it's definitely been brought up by a lot of people that have reviewed this film before, that like he finds out pretty quickly that shooting them in the head is the only way to kill them, but he continues to like shoot them in the stomach and stuff like that. And he also like runs out of bullets at some point, but then he randomly just has a clip full again at one point. But the girl shows up and like she's possessed and essentially like leading them and stuff like that, and he's like not shooting any of them in the head for a while, and then as soon as she shows up, he blows her fucking head off.
Boom, headshot.
Perfect. But as soon as like the girl grabs her face, which he didn't even know if she was like possessed or anything, she just came up and was like, hey, he's like, yeah. I was like, well, you just committed a fucking murder, possibly.
Like McCready just blew that dude's head off.
Yeah. And then they kind of like, they warp to the sewer. I went, and they go into this like hole in the wall. I guess we talk about that at the end of the film here.
Yeah.
So this is definitely like a thing that like if you've never seen this film, it's very like, I don't know. It's I think somebody said that it's something that like, even though we're gonna try to, I guess, to put words to it, it's something that really is
like,
impossible to.
As crazy and silly as this movie is, like, this ending, like, shook me the first time I saw it.
I think it's probably, like, the best ending in a horror film.
It is truly chilling, and, like, the vision of hell.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but, like,
it's more scary than if you were to see, like, a fire
right.
kind of thing. It's essentially like they walk out and they're kind of like, oh, what's in here and stuff, and it's like essentially the landscape from the guy's painting at the beginning, where it's like this brown kind of area with like fog
dust
and stuff, and like there's like skeleton and mummy corpses everywhere and stuff, and they're kind of just like, so they turn, and like where they turn to like where they came from is like it's the same thing again, and then when they like turn around, like their eyes are essentially just like the lady from the beginning that was blind. So it's like she had escaped somehow and didn't want to go back, but it was essentially they got brought to like this hellish underworld, or like
it's just a void,
purgatory essentially, which is like worse than hell, because essentially there's just like, it's just
it's
an endless,
so effective, and like
and it's the music too. Is I think I think if it was literally there was no music, it wouldn't be really as effective. But the sight and the way that their faces, the way they act too, it's just like holy shit.
Yeah, it's truly unforgettable, and like I guarantee I've had nightmares about like this. It's so like it's something that I will think about often. Like I can't shake it,
Yeah,
it's super scary. I'm like, man.
Yeah, it's definitely something to be believed. Then they have a narrator here, and he says, "And you will face the sea of darkness, and all therein that may be explored." I'm like, okay, there you have it.
Yeah.
I have one thing here to say that I kind of found out that I didn't know about, but I guess like Fulci had like the original plan for the ending was something completely different. He wanted like there to it be like a giant amusement park where everyone who was like murdered in the film was having fun being dead, and the producers didn't like nix the idea because it was silly, but because they couldn't like afford to pull it off.
That'd be interesting.
But like that reminded me, I think, a little too much of like the stuff that happened in like Carnival of Souls. But I feel like this is like a way better effective thing, and I think that kind of goes along with like with like Day of the Dead too, where it's like when you have to like kind of like work within a different limitation and stuff like that, better stuff comes out of it. So
yeah, I agree. To me, watching this movie kind of felt like that Stone Cold gif, because I was like laughing, having a great time until that ending. I was like,
where he's like,
yeah, I was like, I wasn't ready for like something this intense and like dark and scary.
Yeah, it's probably the most sobering thing that I've ever seen on film.
Yeah.
There's been movies that have been all the way through like a downer, but this is like, like you said, it's kind of like it is fucked up, but like things are happening where you're like, oh, people's heads are getting blown off. It's kind of like
spider bit that dude's tongue.
Thrill a minute.
Yeah.
And then the ending happens, and it's just like, I think the only word I can think of is like fuck.
Yeah, it's like unforgettable.
Yeah. Yo, unforgettable. Whoa.
Yeah. So props to Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento. I think they're both great directors.
Lucio and Dario.
A lot of their movies.
You're like, but not these two. Fuck you.
Pure movie magic.
PMM.
But I'm not as passionate about The Void as I am Suspiria.
Nice.
I think it's a 7.95.
You're also not as passionate about The Beyond.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I messed up.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell.
Because
yeah.
I've never messed up.
Heaven no.
Heaven no. I'm like, what'd you say, 7?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Oh, thank heaven. I don't know. I feel like I want to give like the ending like a 9.95.
It so elevates this movie. No doubt.
I probably do like an 8.95 because a lot of the stuff that kind of happens in the middle is it's good, but there's also stuff where I'm like, this is kind of boring. Yeah. But I kind of felt that way with like some of the stuff in Suspiria, so I think that like both these films are awesome though.
Yeah.
So I was so glad to watch these, and I just want to watch like Zombie now. I'm sure we'll do that.
It makes me want to watch a bunch more Italian horror for sure. But these are two of the best, I think.
Yes. Zombie, great. Maybe we'll watch all the zombie films they made. Killing Birds. Dude, I remember watching those back in the day and being like, this is fucking dog shit. They put the work into those, they had like a warehouse that they essentially used like over and over again. Anyway, so I guess that's the end.
Yeah.
So this is the end of week 2. We will see you. Oh wait, I guess we should talk about what the next week is. I forgot about that.
What's next?
What is week 3? That's shorts week, right?
Shorts week.
Salute your shorts. Eat my shorts week. Bart Simpson week.
Something very different.
Yes. Something. Yeah, true. So next week we're doing shorts week. We will be delving into the monochrome. And we I have to pull up my stuff here because I didn't write at the end here. So we've got Laurel and Hardy, The Three Stooges, and Buster Keaton. So we'll be doing The Murder Case and The Live Ghost for Laurel and Hardy. The Three Stooges, We Want Our Mummy, and If a Body Meets a Body. And then Buster Keaton's film, or I guess it's the same length, I think, for the other ones, Haunted House. So, and I think, if I'm correct, I think the Buster Keaton will be the earliest thing that we've ever watched on the podcast, because it's 1920 something.
I think it's 21,
yeah.
So it's over 100 years old.
Yeah, just like me. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
and interesting, and very informative. So, I guess you have anything else to say?
Until next time, bye.
Peace.
Another great episode in the books.
I know, man. I'm so excited.
Nailed it.
Yep.
What we want to do now? See what's on the tube.
Yeah, go
See
ahead.
if there's anything good on.
Nothing bad can happen.
I don't think so.
For what?
For you.
And you will face the sea of darkness, and all therein that may be explored.
We should do this whole episode with Italian accents. It's a me, Matt, for Italian Week. 3-pound rigatoni.
3-pound rigatoni coming down. My fucking spine. It's like,
Just quote Jackass the whole time.
yeah. Dunking on Star Wars again.
It has nothing to do with horror month.
Yeah.
Ah!
What?
Yeah,
What
it's good.
were
It's just so
you
silly.
laughing?
How silly this is. Like, why are you laughing? This is very serious.
Well, no, I just wasn't sure if I was making a weird face.
Don't make me watch any more Star Wars content, please. Or whatever, you know. Do whatever you do.
Don't make me watch it. Don't do it. Kill me instead. Kill me.
That was good.
I'm trying to. We're recording. I'm like, well, that won't be going in there. Oh shit! It's you. No, Sebulba. Shit! Why? You want me to watch Star Wars? Fuck that. I'd rather die. Kill me. No. Okay, let that fucking shit. Let's do that again. Star Wars. Gloria, protect me. Please help me. Protect me.
You're killing me.
Okay.
Was that fun? What was that?
Bastard! Kill him! Gloria, thank you. You saved me. Oh, what do you have there? She should have let me be killed.